Hi, this is Mike Dierks, Regional Home Missionary Coordinator for the Presbytery of Ohio, April of 2022. And today we're talking with Brad Peppo, Regional Home Missionary in the Miami Valley, evangelist for Light of the Nations, and probably a few other titles that we don't need to go into. But Brad, get us up to speed. What's happened with you and your call and the things you're working on?
Okay, well, this has been a pretty exciting couple of weeks. The completion of a couple of projects that have been in the works for some time. Friday before last, we had our Wilmington church plant particularized. Just a really glorious night, a great service. And last night we had our first official session meeting as a separate church. And future is looking good for them. God has been very, very kind to them. And the spirit of unity they have is very evident, and the desire that they have to do the work of the church there in Wilmington is very encouraging. I am continuing to serve as ministerial advisor for that session, and two of the fellows from Redeemer session are continuing to augment the session, and so we'll be assisting them in their pastoral search process moving forward and all the other aspects of their ministry. So that was very encouraging. That was 2 Fridays ago. Tomorrow evening, April 8th, we have the particularization of our other work that we had ongoing. That's the church downtown. Light of the Nations will be particularizing with a service tomorrow evening. And so very pleased to see the way that God has brought those works to this point, and excited about those. My call, which has up to this point been at Vandalia, which has been the sort of planting church for a number of these works, for our Springfield work and for downtown work. I'll be shifting my call from Vandalia to Light of the Nations, and that will be my new home base for the foreseeable future.
Now, what's next for Brad?
So we've got a couple of things in mind. As we were witnessing the completion of these projects approaching in Dayton and Wilmington, we were looking around in the Miami Valley for other places that we think it would be helpful to have a Reformed church there. I'm part of a pastors network that's up to the north and west. Now, a lot of the stuff that we've done so far has been to the south and to the east, and we really haven't done much up to the northwest, even though I'm kind of from more up in that area and more familiar with it, and have sort of a more sentimental attachment to it. We haven't been up there yet. So I've been kind of chomping at the bit to get up that direction for a while. Talking with a number of pastors in the area, they identified the city of Sydney, which it's about 40 minutes north of Dayton. They identified that church or that city as a place that could use a stronger gospel witness. And so I really was, the plan was for me to wait until summer to start up there. But as I just made a couple of calls just to kind of see who was there and sort of get some ideas on how to network and become more familiar with the community, I did come across a couple of guys who have been super helpful. The one is an elder in I guess the best way to describe it would be a home church network up there. I met with him for lunch a few weeks ago and just talked about the city, talked about sort of the unbelieving population there, and talked about possibilities for evangelism and outreach and that sort of thing. And that was really helpful. But really, most exciting up there was maybe about 2 weeks ago. Through my interaction with him and some other guys, I was able to have lunch, and then actually it turned out to be a 4-hour meeting with a pastor of a church in the Assemblies of God, it's in the process actually of coming out of the AG, and they're trying to figure out exactly where they're going to go or what they're going to do. One of the questions that he asked me as we were discussing sort of my thoughts and my plans was, how can I let people know in the community that we want to be a more Reformed church? So wow, that's a great question. And so we started talking about some of those things. And honestly, as the conversation progressed and as I was thinking over the next couple of days, I was wondering, like, does this become a project where, instead of looking for a new plant, I'm coming alongside and getting to know these guys and helping them move in a more Reformed direction. But after some other conversations, I mean, he's still very, very eager to learn. But I think it probably will be a better idea for us to focus on a separate work And part of my encouragement in that direction was his saying, hey, we think there's plenty of room. He said, when you guys are ready to start meeting for evening worship, we'll let you use our building. A really good contact in the area. He's been there as a pastor for 20 years, just really well connected with the community, has a lovely ministry there. So thinking about that and just how best to proceed, and that's what's going on in Sydney. So that will probably be, again, summer before all of that begins in earnest, but I've got some really good leads to follow up on there. So that's in Sydney.
Okay.
The other things that have been going on, actually, that have been occupying quite a bit of time. Part of the reason for my transfer of my call from the Vandalia Church to the Springfield Church is the international ministry that has been going on out of Light of the Nations. And I've talked about it in the last couple of calls that we've had. And so not a whole lot new to report on those things, other than they're continuing. I think they're strengthening. The Quran and Bible discussions that we've been having have just been delightful. This past month, we finally were able to reestablish in-person meeting. And I just can't even express what a difference that makes. I mean, the Zoom meeting wasn't useless. It wasn't fruitless. But to be able to really hear their voices, to really see the expression on their faces, to really be interacting, to watch their interaction with one another and get to know them better, it was just an absolute delight. And again, a no holds barred discussion about the differences and the deadly seriousness of the differences between Islam and Christianity. Very much looking forward to that continuing. This next month, we won't be meeting for that. They've invited us rather to participate in one of their iftar dinners during Ramadan. So at their cultural center, there'll be a group of us meeting them there for that at the end of one of those days. And then we'll resume with our regular meetings the following month. Again, it just continues to see the deepening of the relationships with those folks. It's just been super, super amazing. The other aspect of international ministry that's going on in and sort of out of Light of the Nations, I think I've said before, we're hosting the Dayton chapter of the International Friendships Incorporated. Their offices are with us, and they actually also have their primary group meeting. So 50 to 60 students are gathering in our gymnasium every Friday night. And as often as I'm available, I've been participating in that. And one of the things that they do during that meeting that's just really great is they work through a passage from the Gospel of Mark. And the estimates I've gotten from some of the volunteers there, it's probably a 70% non-believing group, a minority of Christians there. So, one night I was sitting there and there was a fellow from Vietnam, and there was a fellow from Africa, and there was a fellow or a lady from the Dominican Republic, and two guys from India. And we're all just talking about the Gospel of Mark together. It was just really, really incredible opportunity. So we're glad that they're there. It looks like they're going to be there for the long haul, and we're hoping to sort of intensify our cooperation with them. One of their directors will be presenting to our folks for Sunday school in the near future, and I'm hoping to get more people from the church involved in that. But the other thing, and the thing that's probably, again, the primary thing that we've got going on right now with respect to international ministry is our ESL program. And we've had, I think I looked at the spreadsheet the other day, I think we had 42 different students come through that. On any given Tuesday night, we have 12 to 15, so around a dozen that are there at a time, just depending on their work schedules or childcare issues. Yeah, a solid group there. And again, especially recently, just feeling like those relationships are deepening. We've had some interaction with some of the students outside of class. We've been able to assist diaconally with some of their needs. And some of those things are becoming more evident. And that was one of the things we knew would happen when we opened the ESL. And it was actually one of the things we were hoping would happen, is that it wouldn't just be English that they needed, because these people are disadvantaged in a lot of different ways. And some of that has been coming to the surface. And so we've been able to help with some of that. And it's been lovely. Also then we've had some of the students attending worship, which has been our primary goal from the beginning. And the fact that they've been coming to worship, and the fact, so one of the things that goes on Tuesday evenings is that we have a first half of the class, and then I give a talk on a Bible verse, maybe a 10 to 15 minute talk in between. And it's becoming more and more evident to me, not just in that, but in the interaction with these folks outside of the class, and especially as they come to church, that we need some additional Spanish skills in our congregation. And I feel like personally, I need some more myself. I have just a smattering of Spanish, just enough to embarrass myself continually. So one of the things that I'm looking at doing this summer is some intensive Spanish study on site in a Latin American country. There's a couple programs we're looking at, one in particular, and hopefully that will better equip me when we come back, because we take a break for the summer for the ESL. So I'm hoping that when everyone comes back, I'll be able to express myself a little more effectively than I have in the past. And then one last thing, and that kind of segues into the last thing I talked about. You know, you've had James Stafford on here talking about the work that he's doing in Springfield. James recently accepted a call to go back to his home church in Columbus. And so the group there that he was working with at the Springfield church, he was a church planning intern helping with them. Daniel Doles and I have been talking about how to help that group continue to move forward. Again, our hope is that it would develop to the point where it would be able to become a mission work and have its own organizing pastor. Obviously, a native Spanish speaker would be what we would really want for them. But given the other needs that I'm experiencing and the other things that I'm doing out of Light of the Nations, and given the language study that I'm going to be doing, it's possible. I just recently began talking with Daniel about this, that I might be providing some services, sort of a stopgap measure, to help that group continue in existence. Again, until we have them to the point, until we have the resources to the point where we'd be able to call a native speaker in for that congregation. So possible that I'll be doing some work in Sydney, some work down in Dayton, and then also some work in Springfield as the fall approaches.
Good. I'm glad you didn't put any plates down. You just added new plates to your. Actually, yeah, they're still spinning. They're spinning a lot.
They're still spinning.
So Brad, you know, how can the churches pray for you? What are some of the things, you know, if we could give them a list of 3 or 4 items to just keep you in prayer?
Yeah. I think that the Sydney work is the one that I would ask for prayer first, just because, again, I forget if we explained this in the last call, but we're trying something completely different. You know, in the past, what we've had is we've had an organized core group already get in touch with us. And so we've gone and helped them become a mission worker in the church. And in one case, we didn't have a core group, but we had families that I was able to pull together for a core group. This is a completely different scenario where we're hoping to go in and just start some evangelism and interaction with non-believers, and, you know, develop that completely cold turkey without any folks on the ground already. So prayers for how to go about that. And, you know, my universal experience in the short time that I've been doing this is that God will make those connections, and God will provide those leads in a way that we couldn't anticipate. So prayers for that God would introduce me to the right people, help me connect with the right people, and especially the right people that are outside of Christ and need to hear the gospel, need to come in, and then that work would continue. The second thing I would say is that God, I would ask for prayer that God would bless my 47-year-old synapses as I'm trying to acquire some more language. I'm already kind of feeling my age mentally with some of that stuff. I mean, I'm making progress, but it's slow progress. But I do hope that an immersive experience would be such as to make me more useful in the things that we're already doing and the things that we need help with. So I'd say Sydney and the language acquisition would be my 2 main prayer requests right now.
All right, Brad, I appreciate your time. God bless you, and looking forward to seeing how the Lord continues to work through you as his vessel.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much.
Thank you.